Kicks 105.5 WKXH. Good morning, I'm JJ. It is Wednesday, June 15th. It's 7:47 and 60 degrees outside. I'll have your full weather forecast coming up in a little bit. But right now we have Mike Barrett from the Barrett Insurance Agency with us. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning.
How are you?
A day like today, I can't be anything but superb, right? It's an amazing day out there.
Absolutely.
Love
Especially
it.
when you have to walk.
Oh, yeah. Sorry to hear about that. I was worried. I pulled in, I didn't see a car. I'm like, uh-oh, am I not doing this today? But you're here, but your car's not.
I'm here. Of course, I had to walk half the way. I had to walk up that hill. Let me tell you something.
No need for coffee on a morning like that.
When you're used to driving and not walking, especially up a big hill.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll get your juices flowing.
So what happened was, apparently there was a short in the wiring harness, and it melted all the wiring and all the electronics.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in the shop being fixed, but it's going to cost me about $2,000.
Oh, wow.
And all I had was liability.
Okay.
So obviously that's not going to cover it.
No.
Is there insurance I could get that would cover that?
Yeah, so if fire would be covered under comprehensive coverage. So if it was indeed a fire and determined as such, comprehensive coverage could have kicked in subject to whatever deductible you chose. And deductible choice is very personal, right? That's something you make that's comfortable for you. What are you comfortable out of pocket paying? So would it be, some companies offer a $0 deductible for comprehensive, meaning any claims covered first dollar payment from the company, no cost to you. You can go 50, 100, 200, 250, 500, 1,000, 2,500. Lots of options there. So comprehensive, when you think about the grand scope of the cost of an auto insurance policy, liability is obviously a pretty large factor of that cost. Collision, which I'll get to in a moment, would be another large factor of that cost. Comprehensive can be very inexpensive, and it's something that many people don't think to get. Right? Because they think, well, I want to go as cheap as I possibly can. I don't have a loan on this vehicle. It's an older vehicle. I'm fine with it. Let's just do liability only. Well, in situations like that, you could find that comprehensive could have been a benefit to you, and maybe only paying $60 a year or so for that particular piece of coverage, it would be worth it. You think about how many years you'd have to pay $60 a year or so, and I'm just spitballing a price, but it's inexpensive. It really is. It'd be how many years before it hits 2,000? So, fire, I've had people have mice get into their cars and cause damage. That would be covered by comprehensive coverage. Comprehensive, some companies prefer to call it other than collision. For all intents and purposes, it's the same thing. It's just companies sometimes will say, well, we don't want to call it comprehensive because then they're going to see it covers everything. We don't want them to see that. So they call it other than collision. But comprehensive covers, I'm going to name just a couple. I would never be able to name it all right? Because it's one of those things that if it's not excluded, it's covered under comprehensive. So obvious exclusions would be property damage with other property. Yeah, that's not covered because that is the definition of collision. So you have to have collision coverage for that. But fire, theft, vandalism, hitting an animal. I say if you have a choice, hit the animal because it's most likely going to be a safer situation for you, but it's also going to fall under a comprehensive loss versus a collision loss. Let's see, what else? Did I say flood already? That's one that's normally not covered. So you think about all the vehicles that are impacted by flood every year. Flood is a covered loss for a vehicle, not for a home unless you have flood insurance, but you can't buy flood insurance in a car. That falls under comprehensive. Hailstorm, falling objects. Many people go, well, I parked my car in my garage, so if something happens to the car, my homeowner policy will cover it. Nope, that's not going to happen. Has to be comprehensive coverage on the car for there to be coverage for a fire, even if it's parked in a structure you insure, which is the case for a lot of items that are subject to motor vehicle registration, such as snowmobiles, ATVs, mini bikes, motorcycles, dirt bikes, the trikes, all those things have to have their own type of coverage. And without comprehensive, you wouldn't have coverage for fire. Comprehensive also covers glass breakage, right? And the big thing that companies have decided to do over the years is they've made it, most of them have done this, not all, but they've added a feature. So let's say you chose a comprehensive coverage on your car and you said, you know what, I'm comfortable with a $100 deductible, right? So you now have comprehensive coverage on your car or truck or whatever you have with a $100 deductible. And then you opt to get the glass waiver. What in tarnation is a glass waiver? Well, a glass waiver, it could be in multiple ways that companies describe it, but you'll know if you have it because you chose it, but it would waive any deductible for glass repair or replacement. And we're not just talking windshield. We're talking side door windows. We're talking back windows. If you have a glass loss, it's covered with no deductible, no money out of pocket. Case in point, about a year ago, almost to the day, I was mowing my lawn, and a rock that shouldn't have been where the rock was. Dang rock.
You have kids?
Wrong place. Ethan. Didn't see it. I certainly heard it when it hit the mower deck and spun up and smashed out the back door window of my truck. I have $0 glass deductible on my comprehensive, so it didn't cost me anything to replace it. So there can be very many reasons to do just beyond liability. You know, we could get into a discussion someday about why medical payments, because in Vermont and New Hampshire and all the states that have compulsory insurance laws, you know, and it can vary from state to state. Like Massachusetts and New York are a little different, and man, that would be a deep dive that I'm not doing on the air because, wow, complexities that you wouldn't want to hear about. They do personal injury protection, PIP. That's not here in Vermont. Medical payments that would cover you. It's not required to have your car legally on the road. You just have to have liability. So if you have just liability and uninsured motorist liability, that's all you have. There's a lot of certain things that could happen that would leave you exposed.
Risky.
You're assuming the risk is what it is. You know, you're saying, well, I'm saving money, but I'm willing to assume the risk of the losses that occur to my vehicle. And many people are comfortable with that. Many people are comfortable with that until a claim that they could have had coverage for, and they realize, oh my goodness, for that much, that little amount a year, I could have been covered for this. While I think I might do that next time, and that's normally what brings people to the table on that.
Okay, so speaking of deductibles, and you could get, as you said, 0, 100, 200, 500, 1,000, whatever.
Yep.
So the higher your deductible, the lower your rate.
Exactly. Exactly. That's one of your leverage points as the consumer of insurance, is to say, all right, so here's the rate based on, whatever deductible we're presenting. Normally we present a $500 deductible as kind of a baseline, and you can from there decide whether you want to go higher or lower. And we can talk through the process, give you real examples of the cost and the impact, and you can go, maybe it makes more sense for me to go from a $500 deductible down, or maybe I want to save some money. I want to go from a $500 deductible up. And this is in the instance of vehicles, home insurance, business owner's insurance, you name it, deductibles apply. So in the case of auto insurance, most people will have a lower deductible for comprehensive, but a higher deductible for collision. Why is that? Well, collision's more expensive coverage to begin with. I mentioned as a spitball number, let's say it's $60 a year for comprehensive with a $100 deductible, right? $500 deductible with collision coverage, which would cover your car from impact with other property. So you ran into something other than an animal, or something ran into you and maybe didn't have coverage, what have you. That $500 deductible could be $175, $210 a year. So obviously it's more expensive, but it could be worth having. It's about leveraging your exposure and your anticipation of cost.
And it covers a lot more.
Yeah.
That was an interesting point you brought up. But
I have one more after you.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, because I didn't know that. I would have believed if I owned a home or renter's insurance or whatever, and my car was in the garage, and a tree fell on the garage and pretty much crushed everything.
Yeah, garage is covered if it's got coverage.
Car would not be covered.
Car is only covered on the auto policy.
See, I did not know that.
Yep. And real quick, you might not have had to walk up the hill this morning, because if you had comprehensive coverage, you could have also then added some rental reimbursement coverage where you could have had a rental vehicle to get you up the hill this morning. So.
I called around for a rental car.
Yeah. There's no company around here. Not going to happen.
You got to go pick it up in Littleton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enterprise doesn't come to pick you up. You got to haul your tickets to Littleton or Barry Montpelier. So good luck.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. I actually learned something this morning. I learn something every week with you anyway.
It's the least I can offer.
Awesome. That's why you're the Barrett.
The Barrett. That's a scary thing.
Thanks for coming in, and hopefully, I don't know if are we going to see you next week, maybe?
No, next week I'm off.
Next week?
I'm taking a true vacation and not doing any insurance stuff next week. Haven't done that in a long time.
Well, awesome. Well, I hope you have a great vacation, and we'll see you the following week.
You got it. I'll be back the following week. But in the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, give us a call, 748-5224. Find us on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online, thebarrettagency.com, Google, YouTube, and Facebook. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agency. And even though I'm out next week, we're staffed. Our crew will still be working away and hopefully under strict orders to not call me. But if they have to, they will, and that's fine.
All right, Mike.
And they're listening, so now I'm going to get flack for that when I get in.
You enjoy the rest of your day. And, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
Yeah, well, the good part is I only got to go downhill.
I say it literally is all downhill from here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all downhill. All right, Catch 105.5. That was Mike Barrett from the Barrett Insurance Agency.